You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Projectile Warehouse. Find your perfect projectile. And now, over to your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. My name is Rusty. This is episode number 71. And we are in Lithgow, New South Wales, Australia. Next to me, or just over there actually, Dan from Impact Dynamics. How are you, Dan?
G'day, Rusty.
How you doing, mate?
Good, mate.
Good.
Relaxed.
Good. That's it. It's just Dan and I at the moment. We are chilling in our cheap, crappy motel room. It's all right, isn't it?
Quite cosy. Good bed.
Yeah.
Heaps of pizza.
Yeah.
Jack Daniels.
I think those last two were added in. I don't think they're part of the motel package.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. But we are in Lithgow. We got in last night. It's Friday today. Although this will be going up probably a little bit later once I get back to Adelaide. And so I got in Thursday night late, and today we spent the day at Lithgow Arms.
Very
factory.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah, you enjoyed that?
I did.
So big thanks to Richard at Lithgow. We got a bit of a tour there of the factory, which no doubt we'll probably go into a little bit. And then we spent a little bit of time sort of watching them cycle some guns on the range. Had a fair bit of testing to do, and we had lunch with the guys who do that, and got to know the range a little bit because we will be back there tomorrow running a long-range course. Excited for that, Dan?
I am.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit different.
It is.
Yep.
Something when, location would quite different.
Yeah, very. Great location.
Beautiful spot. Yeah, isn't it? It's a really nice little place to shoot. Gorgeous.
Very scenic.
Yeah, very much so. So excited about that. Yeah, so we actually tried to record this podcast yesterday in the car.
We didn't get far.
No, we got a long way. We got to Lithgow. But we just struggled with background noise. The car was fairly loud, particularly running at 100 k's, and we just could not get a good sound quality without using handheld mics. And we didn't really want to run handheld mics while driving, so we opted out. Maybe a cop out, but we opted out, and that's why we're doing this here. So Dan, tell us a bit about Lithgow today. What do you remember?
Like you said, Richie gave us a tour of the factory. It was awesome. He's a great bloke. Did a great job. Pretty intensive tour of the factory.
It's pretty quick, but not speedy. I thought we were like getting like a 3-minute quick there.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
opened our eyes to a lot of things, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of great old machinery. Great, I really like the old stuff, like the old buildings there.
It's
and
because
the
you're
old
old.
machinery.
You're a lot older than me.
Yeah, I'm not as old as Badco though, so it's all good.
Yeah, you haven't got as much cash as Badco.
I'm probably next in line.
And so no one's as old as Badco. We got taken out to the tour room first. I'm actually going to speak on the old side of things. So Lithgow have been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can tell the buildings are old, aren't they?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like stepping back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still running. Some of the machines are still running are of that age.
Yeah, I think he said, the quality that they put out, some of them, I guess they don't need replacing because they're still doing their job.
Yeah.
Yet they've updated where they need to,
Yeah, well, he's saying one of the machines, I think it was the gun drill, but I could be wrong. Probably usually are. They've got shims on them, or they keep tweaking them, so they're performing still within their tolerances that they required, despite being a 100-year-old machine. So it's I mean, you look at it. We looked at them today and gone. They're still doing the job, still doing well. Yeah. They've got plenty of new machines in there. I should point out that it's not all just,
Yeah.
What's CNC?
You can see they've updated where they need to.
Particularly with the civilian line, with of what they're doing with the Lithgow Arms. Yeah, the LA101s, 102s, and the other one we will get to shortly. But it was magic, and one of the things I really sort of got. Saw today that I didn't know much about was the forging process of barrels.
Yeah, that was cool. Cool to learn about.
So from the understanding of it, they spend 2 weeks making a tungsten rod, which is the rifling imprint, and then so it takes quite a while. And did I hear correctly? He said that they will usually make like twice as many as they actually need, and then scrap any that have any minor
Something
defect.
like that rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, they made more and then would get rid of some because they weren't up to par and always account for they pick the best.
Yeah.
So and
Probably
then
sorry. Yeah, go
no
on.
go.
I was going to say it's probably the main thing I took away from today about Lithgow is the quality control.
Yeah.
Very anal on it.
Yeah.
And very concerned that they're putting out a really good product.
It shone through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the
which is great.
The forging, they'd start with this sort of somewhat of a blank, which were quite small. Like I was amazed, and then effectively it goes in this machine, and this machine just pounds the crap out of it.
Absolutely.
And like wraps the inside around this tungsten rod to create the rifling on the inside of the barrel, and hardens the steel, and sort of really puts it under pressure, which was once you see it happen and get it explained to you by someone who knows what they're talking about, not me, you go, wow, there's no wonder they shoot well.
Yeah.
There's some real consistent elements to that and how they do it. They were saying they forge some of their chambers, but the civilian range they cut them
That's right.
with the reamer, normal sort of way of doing it. So the facilities are, you've got that the clash of like a really old building and a stack of sort of old machines, with then some sort of top of the line, as far as I can tell, CNC setups that are doing everything you expect to see. What we saw over in Vortex in the US, sort of similar sort of concepts and stuff, and they have measuring machines all done in controlled environments in certain temperatures and all that sort of gear. So it was really
a lot of history there.
Absolutely, and all the meeting rooms of the Vickers room and the Bren gun room and bits and pieces like that. Yeah,
everything's got a room.
Yeah, I thought that was good. So. Yeah, no, it's quite an interesting experience, and we were disappointed the Small Arms Museum, which you had been recommended to go and see by a lot of guys, was closed on Fridays. So if you are getting to Lithgow at any time at any point, don't come on a Friday because the Small Arms Museum is closed, and apparently is really worthwhile looking through.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about it.
Oh, is that?
I don't really know what's in there or what to expect, so I'm not.
You're putting
I'm
it out of your
missing
mind, so
out
you're
on
not
it,
disappointed. One day we'll be back, mate, and we'll
for sure.
definitely get a run through
I would
it.
love to go in there and check it out.
Yeah, it would be good. The other thing that we got to do today was have a little bit of time with the 105, the LA105 Woomera. Now, we didn't get to shoot it, but we certainly did see a bunch of results from it. The range was tied up with their machine gun testing.
Yep.
Well, what did you think, Dan? It was the first time you've played with the Lithgow centerfire, though, wasn't it?
Yes. I think you pointed out before. Anyone that knows me, I'm not easily impressed with a rifle.
Yes, I did say that to someone earlier today. That it takes a bit to make you smirk about a rifle.
Yeah, I'll dance around something for quite a while before I'll accept that it's okay.
And your dance was impressive today. It was really like cha-cha.
I put my all into it.
It was a cha-cha theme. I was quite impressed by it, mate. I think people would be proud.
Yeah. Holding the rifle, cycling the rifle, I was impressed. It's about all I can say is I've never picked up a new rifle that felt like it has fired 4,000 rounds and been running.
In the good way.
In the good way. It was butter smooth.
Yeah.
And not what I would expect.
Shout out to Butters there from Darwin.
Yeah.
Butter smooth.
Yeah. I mean, the finish on the action, the look of it is very appealing. It's a really nice looking, strong action, yet, attractive. And cycles butter smooth. I'm really keen to try one out. I think, and it's in my favourite chassis, the KRG. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I can't see it not being a really top-notch rifle.
That's a point. So, a couple of specs on the rifle. It's the same action as the 102. Okay, the action itself, there's no different. The feeding of it to work from the KRG chassis has been modified. So it will feed out of the AI style mags.
Yep.
The barrel is a 24-inch bull barrel, like a straight barrel. A thicker profile than their standard 102s.
Yep.
And then the muzzle brake on the end.
Yet it's good. Yet it's well weighted. It's not. I wouldn't call it a heavy rifle. Yet it's not light. I mean, it's the perfect weight. And the KRG's chassis, I think I may have put up somewhere on Facebook or something that it was an X-ray chassis, but I'm going to take that back because, and that's why Lithgow haven't promoted it as an X-ray KRG, because it's not. Mm-hmm. It's based on an X-ray chassis, right? But
there is a couple of elements that are only on the whiskey.
Right. Yeah, there's a few changes.
Yeah, the whiskey 3 that particularly at the front of the fore end, with the ability to put Picatinny rails on or put like flush cup holes and stuff. Those are present on this, which aren't present on the X-ray. So it is actually a little upgrade to the X-ray, with the rear end of it sort of being a standard X-ray.
Yeah.
One of the other things I didn't realise was that the X-ray or this setup's going to come with different grips, like 2 different options on grips, and a few rails and different cheek beasts. So the chassis itself is quite customisable, and some of that is going to be in the box.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive.
Yeah.
So
Great addition.
And I think they did a good thing, like partnering, and you said this earlier today, they like partnering someone who knows chassis, who is not on their first chassis, who has built multiple chassis and refined and good. I mean, you've been using a Whiskey 3 for years. And, they're on, what generations is yours?
Mine's 3.
Yeah, and they're up to 5 now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then the X-rays come out, I think, around the time the 4 came out, or 3 or 4.
I believe that's right, yeah.
And so a company that knows their chassis and keep refining them and getting feedback. I mean, Paul Reed, who's been on the podcast, is a KRG sponsored shooter and providing constantly feedback to them. So I think it's a smart move of saying, of Lithgow saying we don't make chassis, we haven't made chassis, so they haven't got the experience there. Yeah. Getting someone who has got the experience, and KRG are right up there, and getting them to build it.
It's a good relationship.
So, look, we just banged on about it for ages, but we're both quite impressed with that, the Woomera, and I think, I know a bunch of guys have got them on order, so be confident that, if you have got one on order, it's probably worth waiting for. It is, they're not due out till sometime 2018, but getting hands on with one today, I would happily buy one.
Yeah, I'm keen to try one for sure.
Yeah, and would happily recommend them. And given the 102s generally shoot well, these ones are going to probably do that and better.
Yeah.
So, it'd be interesting to see how they come out. But also, you've got the experience for Lithgow. They've learned a lot from the 102s. They learned heaps from the 101s. Plenty from the 102s.
Yeah.
Given that this is only really a design change in barrel, in terms of thickness of the barrel, and the chassis, and then of course muzzle brake. That's they're not major things. All the stuff that often can go wrong has been already proven.
All the teething problems.
Yeah. So it'd be an interesting buy, interesting option. They're due out sometime next year. Second quarter, I think. So that would put it somewhere around April through to June.
That's ages away.
It is ages away.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how.
Unless you get cracking. Come on, guys.
Yeah. So that's our summary of the Lithgow LA105 Woomera. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry up is Dan's word.
Too many people standing around in there.
That was us, Dan. That was us.
It seems like a very friendly environment, though. Everyone's very welcoming.
No, it's because I haven't told them much about you.
Okay.
They'll find out on the weekend.
Best you don't.
Leave it that way. And shout out to Matt today for cooking lunch.
Oh, man, that's over the top, I think.
That was amazing. Roast lamb for lunch.
Most people do that on their job, they'd get fired.
I reckon he deserved a raise or something like that.
Yeah.
It was it was good. So
Yeah, good job.
I think that's probably covered. We didn't. I will apologise. We didn't take photos while we were there. We were a bit limited on what we could do and that side of things. And we thought, well, let's just if we can't take many, let's just not really bother with it. You guys have seen the photos of the 105, most likely. It looks like that. It looks how you see it in that photo. So. That's the best way. And to be honest, the prototype, the one we played with was in the whiskey chassis, and we did have an X-ray chassis there as well, so we got to play with both. So it wouldn't have been a fair representation of the gun. The other thing was there something else I was going to ask you about something else.
I was going to get another piece of pizza.
Oh, good move.
Where'd they go?
In the fridge, man.
Oh.
I'm good. I ate plenty before I'm laying on this bed, and I don't think I'll be moving anytime soon, unless I run out of what are we drinking? Gentleman Jack. Unless I run out of that, then I'll move.
Yeah. So you were going to ask me?
I was actually going to ask you, and I think we said in the last podcast, I'm going to ask you about the KRG chassis.
Sure.
Because the obviously coming out of Lithgow, we're talking about the 105 and it's been using for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find it? Can you give us any information about the stock and bits and pieces, things you like, things you don't like?
Sure. Because of its design on the pistol grip, the first thing that comes to mind, where it leaves it's got like the indentations above the pistol grip for your thumb to sit out. Right.
Yep. So thumb rest.
That was the thing that made me start shooting thumb out, which is now something we sort of implement into courses about.
We
found
always recommend it to try, at least.
Yeah.
To try. Yep. And results usually follow.
Exactly. We found good reason to do that. So that's one thing I loved about it. Secondly, it was a very rugged stock, which is what I expected. I read up a lot about it. I wanted.
You've treated that like rubbish.
I have. It's copped a pounding, and other than a few scratches, it's never failed me. It's a rock solid system,
Yep.
The only thing I could probably nag on it, which in their defence isn't its fault, it's on the heavy side.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be my ideal weight of a chassis. It's on the heavy side for me personally, anyway. For something like comp shooting, where you're manoeuvring around and on the run. And
plus, you're not very strong either.
I'm pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
I was trying to put on my big tough man voice, so guys that don't know me think I'm some Superman. But you know what I'm saying. It's on the heavy side, but that's not what I bought it for. What I mainly used it for is what I bought it for, and that was, long range hunting, rough environment.
Yep.
Or just a good rugged chassis, and it's
done it.
It's done it.
Yeah, cool. So, I think we're talking about it. We thought we'd ask you about it, what they're going to be like. Yeah. Pretty happy in the X-rays.
I love it.
Well, the X-ray's a bit lighter, isn't it? The X-ray variant. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
A bit more polymer, less steel, or alloy, or whatever it is.
Probably close to half weight. I mean, I don't know for sure.
Half weight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to Google that. Let's get on it.
Yeah, do it.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, look it up. I'd be curious.
Because that sounds like a lot of difference. All right.
Like I said, I'm only guessing.
We'll find out.
It'd be close.
But there's a reasonable drop in weight between the two.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Very noticeable.
Let's have a look here.
Unless the guy I bought mine from filled the centre of his with lead or something, I don't know.
Oh yeah, could have done. Let's no, I don't know if there's any weights here. Anyway, I'll keep chipping away at that, see what I can find. The other thing, well, I guess the main. Is there any other news, mate? Have you got anything to pass on? I mean, we're all excited about Lithgow at the moment. Yeah,
I'm pretty run down.
Yeah,
all the driving we've done and getting around and
it took a while to get here, didn't it?
Brain cogs aren't turning.
So I've just seen that the Generation 5 whiskey is the front is polymer as well, unlike yours, and that takes off half a pound.
Okay.
That's interesting. Anyway, I'm quite distracted here now. I really want to work out what this weight
Well, I'm curious now because you were so surprised at me saying half weight.
Okay, here we go. We're going to go fixed versions. 3.8 pounds for the whiskey 3. Okay, and the X-ray.
3.8 pound. Okay.
3.8 pound. 3.1 for the X-ray.
Wow.
So, not half.
That's not what we...
I should have put money on it.
Is that
I
what
always should have
Is that
put
what
money.
we were handling today?
The X-ray?
Yeah.
The one that was separate to the gun was the X-ray. That's right. And then the one that was on the gun was a whiskey.
Wow.
Oh, but that's... Hang on. If we add that half a pound back in, because half a pound was this Gen 5 versus the Gen 3, so you're at 4.3. So it's taken a pound and a bit off.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I would have thought it'd be more, but yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I'm not sure that's actually overly relevant. But anyway, so be it. So be it.
Maybe part of that's the 27-inch barrel on there. That's
that-
messing with my head. That's added the weight that I'm thinking.
That might be a factor.
Yeah.
So the topic for tonight, apart from what we've covered so far, is wind. Now, wind is a topic we've been asked about a lot, and it's a topic that is a forever topic. You continually working on it, continually learning more about it, and so, what is that guy doing on TV?
Don't watch it; you get distracted.
Sorry.
That's what I'm
That's
hardly.
what
I'm like only half here because I'm staring at this bloody TV.
Yeah, good. Wind is one of those topics that you continue to refine your understanding for a long time and continue to find different ways, different tricks and bits and pieces to move forward. It always seems to be the last battle. It's always the one that you continue to work on. And so, I guess wind is such a broad topic that it's worth going. It's probably worth stating that in the type of shooting we do and a lot of PRS stuff, wind flags are not so common.
No.
Because
No.
yeah, and look, we do have another F-class shooter coming on in the show shortly, and perhaps we could ask him a bit about wind and using flags, because it's honestly something I don't know a lot about, because they
Sure.
work out angles and bits and pieces on them and ways they go, but I've got no experience with the flags, I guess. Well, what are we running on, Dan? What do we utilise for our wind calls?
Everything else.
Yeah, so how far we missed by. So such as what?
Okay. Movement of trees, movement of grass, mirage. Splash from your shot.
Yep.
Smoke.
Yep. Splash from someone else's
Anything.
shot.
Anything.
Yeah, anything.
Windmills.
You can use.
You
Terrain.
name it.
Terrain.
Terrain. Yeah.
I
mean, if you know what to look for, there's heaps of signs out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that you continue to understand, what's happening and how things work and being able to read wind off more and more items and such. Like if there's a wind farm nearby, you can find out at what speeds those turbines actually
Oh,
work.
that's getting a bit crazy, isn't it?
I know.
Oh.
I know. But that's all right. Anyway, so you can utilise whatever is around, and if you understand it, particularly if you shoot in the same area regularly,
Yeah.
it's a good way to do.
Yeah. Well, up where we shoot, where we train a lot, there's a windmill, and I refer to it a lot. And just to clarify, maybe people get confused sometimes. I'm not pointing at this windmill that it's spinning and it's a particular speed, but it's good for a direction. Yeah. I mean, it's like a big, what do you call them? The wind vane?
Weather vane.
Weather vane is it's a massive one of
wind.
them up there. It's, you're talking terrain with hills and where it's coming down like water, splashing over the different angles and crosswinds and such. You want to get what you can from anything.
Absolutely. And I guess Dan, you are a very good wind caller, and
Finally, a compliment.
don't get used to it.
It's going to start coming back if you keep pushing it.
Yeah. Sounds great, mate. Sounds great. Always happy to cop it. You're a good wind caller, and that's been something that certainly has been refined over years and years of shooting and varminting and all that sort of gear.
Yeah.
So how did you go about developing that skill? Tell us.
Yeah, there's no magic key to it. It was just a lot of
damn
time
it. Forget
spent.
it then. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sorry.
If it's not easy, I don't want to do it.
I don't have the golden key. No, you got to pay your dues with it. You got to not. I think what did it for me and I still do it now. I like it. I like it being windy.
Sure.
If there's no wind, I'm kind of like, this is boring. I still enjoy shooting in that, but it's a dampener on the day. If the wind starts picking up, it's like, okay, cool. Now I've got something to play with. You're never holding the same spot. So
I got a proper excuse now. I miss because the wind.
But it's like if you enjoy something, you become good at it. If you hate something, you tend to subconsciously avoid it, even though you go, I've got to learn, I've got to get better at it, and you attempt it. It's all. It tend to be half-hearted attempts, If you're like, I really like this, I want to nail it, or, it becomes obsessive, you're more likely to succeed at it. And I think that's what I did. I at one stage, I told myself, what's my weak point? I'm going to make it my strong point.
Yeah.
And not just one, what are my weak points? Well, make them my strong points. And wind is my weak point. So I started researching on it, looking at it, observing it, reading books, watching videos, and it became an obsession. I really enjoy reading wind and trying to be better at it. And I'm no master. I'm sure I can become a lot better still.
Can't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's good. I guess that is really good. That's probably a really good place to start with that mentality. So many people, and we've we all know them and we've met them, but we've had them out on courses and often see it change. But where initially that mentality is, it's too windy to go shooting. The fair weather shooters. Where
I was one of them guys, the first to admit
many of us would be. Yeah. And you go, oh no, I'm going to hit that. It's too. I'll just keep it closer, or whatever it may be. And that's understandable, because if you just sort of start sending them down range, bit of a Hail Mary type thing, without actually sort of understanding or paying attention to. Yeah, you sit there going, mate, this is too bloody hard. I got no chance of doing this. I mean, that's the thing. You start putting things down. Like we were shooting just shy of 300 metres the other day with a 22 in nearly 30-mile-an-hour winds. And it was tough. But the toughest part I found was splash. But you do that for a number of years ago. And you did, no, I haven't got a chance. I just wouldn't even attempt it years ago.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you start going, well, hang on, okay, if it's windy, well, now's my chance to learn. Now you might shoot closer in, so you sort of get some more hits, build that confidence up. But don't be afraid. And I think one of my favourite things when you're running a long range course, and depending on which course, but we spend most of a day on wind.
Yeah.
And the change in demeanour of the guys after we go out, we do a particular activity where we go out and
it's consistently the same.
It's the same, and we go out and we guess we use Kestrels to confirm our guesses on wind, and the guys pretty quickly see improvement in how their guesses are through process of observation and other bits and pieces. And so what happens? We do this session, then we come back and then we shoot again. And in the same time frame, previously they would have sent down 20 rounds. This time they're doing 4 or 5.
Yeah, instant.
And what it is there's a change in process, in understanding, but in attitude, where they'll stop and they go, right, what's the wind doing? What's this? They're really conscious to it. The chatter is up. The talk is up.
Yeah. And
they're going, hey, did you see that mirage there? That's about 500. That looks different to the closer in stuff. Or that, hang on, something's changed.
I think the difference is, how I see it with the guys, is they're now shooting with their eyes open.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, they now know what to look for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And just so they're so more observant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the what we were talking about before, where you you go out there and you start shooting in wind, and you
Yeah.
go, I'm missing. This is
Yeah.
rubbish. Whereas these guys aren't shooting and getting demoralised. They're watching and they're looking and they're chatting and they're going, oh, it's doing this now. Oh, hang on, I think it's switched. I think it's come back, 30 degrees or 90 degrees or whatever. And someone else going, yep, I see it. Or even to the point where they say, oh, no, it's changed. I don't know what it's done, but it's changed.
Yes, they're seeing something.
Yeah, and so as those skills build, they'll be able to see the change and call what it is.
Yeah.
But they're initially going, nah, something's from the last time I took a shot to now is different. And the other thing that you do see, and it's great to see and be aware of, is that, and usually use that as an example. Guys get back from that sort of session, they go, right, I'm gonna I'll call my wind, pay real attention to it, get the kestrel out, do all of this, go, it's an 8 mile an hour wind. Great. Down behind the gun, fill up the magazine, put the magazine in, close the bolt up, go, all right, shooter ready, engage, shoot, completely miss the wrong side that they and gathering that understanding of, you're right, the wind was doing that when you called it 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And training that shot process to come down to, you might do that, and then you might reconfirm when you're on the gun. Then you might reconfirm just before,
Yeah, I think that's the difference between guys learning and experienced guys.
Totally.
The first thing they do, they walk out onto the slab, ready to get set up for a shot, and they're like, "What's the wind?" And they want to lock it into their Kestrel or their AB or whatever. Where an experienced shooter will go, "What's the wind doing?" And he's looking for a baseline. Then he's getting down, going through his process, and the last thing before the trigger, double checking that wind.
I know. I was gonna agree with you there. I think the experienced shooters are constantly observing wind,
Totally,
being ever present of it. So aware of it. Now, not in super fine detail when they're just getting themselves ready, but being mindful of it. So, they'll get onto the range and they'll, okay, well, the wind's doing this, that thing, great, or they're observing terrain or whatever it may be, and then they're going through they're going through their process, but they're always mindful of it, and then they check just before to make that last minute decision of which.
One thing I like to see, like in the comps, where anyone can get screwed by the wind or forget to look at the wind because of the extra pressure of the comp. You go all these other things to look at, and I'm one of them too. But everyone's nervous and getting ready for the next stage and lining up and figuring out what they're gonna do, and someone will go, hey, the wind's changed. Everyone looks up and they're starting to redo data. It's funny to see.
Yeah, it's good. And one of the things that I perhaps like to point out, often people download like those wind charts off the net. So like
the old school
0 to 1 mile, 0 to 2 mile an hour wind. This happens, and 2 to 4 this happens, and all that sort of gear. And those are great. Actually, they're a really good guide because they get you started. But be aware that wherever they were written, chances are that the local foliage and all that sort of stuff responds to wind differently than where you're from.
Yeah.
And so that the trees in your areas might not move as much. The grass might be a lot stiffer than where that chart was written. So it's a good guide. At least gets you getting out there and trying.
I would call them a good starting point when you have nothing to go on. They're the things I sort of researched and got into, but moved on from pretty quickly. But you got to start somewhere.
Agreed. Yeah. So one of the processes I wanted to sort of put out there, which is probably no secret to most people, but wind is something that you can calibrate yourself to. And so we always recommend, and we're not, plenty of other organisations and people recommend doing this is, particularly when you're sort of really wanting to pick up your understanding of wind and calling it, is keep a Kestrel or some sort of wind device with you. And throughout your day, work or going to work, home or whatever it is, have a look around, make an observation, make a call. I'll come back to that actually. Make a call and then check it on the Kestrel. And you'll be way off or close or whatever it is. But you start.
Way off the first time.
Totally.
But that first time is your biggest learner.
Yeah. And then what you do is you actually attune yourself or customize yourself to the point where you can look at the wind and you go, it's doing this. You almost don't need to look at the Kestrel because and you see that in comps. Guys will back themselves in for wind calls, not using a wind meter because they're the complication is that wind's downrange as well. So if they can call it based on what they're seeing, they can call it downrange based on what they're seeing as well.
Yeah, I had this similar conversation about this with Richard today about the technology we use for long range shooting, and making a shot. And I was explaining to him how I've found you don't have to have all this technology. I don't need a lot of this technology to make a long range shot, but I needed it all to learn how to make the shot. So
that's a really good point.
Using the Kestrel taught me to read the wind. Without it, I wouldn't know what 8 or 10 or 12 is because I have no reading to go by. Mm-hmm. But I had the Kestrel to learn it from. Now that I've learnt it, I don't need it for the wind. So, say I use AB personally for trajectory and truing data. Once I've got a load that I use all the time, like I used my 308 load for 3-4 years, whatever, never changed it, and memorised its trajectory to 1,000. Easy to memorise if you spend a bit of time, but I would never have been able to do that without having AB and the technology in the beginning to tell me how to get it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to come back to there was actually making the call.
Yeah.
Because I find a lot of guys, being willing to actually make a call and get it wrong is often pretty intimidating for people. And the thing is that, make the call, get it completely wrong, stuff it up, and learn a little bit from it.
And then that's the key right there.
Yeah. Make the call again and
learn from every shot.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be a little bit better or whatever it may be, but at least if you're willing to sort of go, I think it's 8 mile an hour. Now it could be 48 mile an hour rather than 8, but so 40 mile an hour off in your call, no dramas. I reckon your next call is going to be a ton closer.
Yeah.
Also, probably get inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's that quick.
When I started to see an improvement in my shooting, a drastic improvement where I was starting to move forward a lot faster and get to where I wanted to be a lot quicker, was when I was shooting less. In the way of less ammo.
Yep.
Still going out a lot.
In fact, probably more.
Probably more, yeah. But I could go out more because I was using a lot less ammo. I'd go out and fire 1, 2, 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Passing by the range on my way to work or on the way home.
Well, that's right. You're a lucky prick like that.
I would take a shot, and rather than take another and another, get on target and ding, 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 yeah, cool, we're happy now. Take a shot, I missed. Why'd I miss? Yeah. Sit down, nut it out, think about it. And that becomes obsessive in itself because you're learning from it, and when you're getting that feedback and something clicks and you go, this is what I'm doing. And then the next day you don't make that mistake and you're getting closer or you're hitting. You're learning from it. You're not spending 50 rounds each time. It's a positive way to push you forward.
And that's not feasible for most people, to be fair. Like, the chance to go and shoot one round on the way to work and one round on the way home from work to really master your initial wind call.
That's true.
But the mentality can be brought across to, you got a day at the range once a month. Well, rather than going down and blowing 300 rounds...
You can still do the same thing on a lower scale.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could only shoot once a month, I'd go really think about and take my time on that first shot for the day.
Absolutely.
That's the one that tells you what kind of shooter you are, as far as I'm concerned. You miss, sit back and take 5 minutes and think about it.
Yeah.
Look at everything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's so many times I've missed a shot and gone, okay, what did I do? Was the wind wrong? Was that wrong? Hang on. And, a minute into thinking about it, hang on, I got 2 minutes dialed on my scope. Now, had I not taken that minute, I wouldn't have learnt from that.
You would have.
And, you do that once or twice, then you start naturally just getting behind the gun, check the turrets, we're all good. It's one thing to cross off the list that you do without thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And had you had that particular example, you would have learnt incorrectly, wouldn't you? Because you would have made your wind call.
I think every shooter out there could say or could remember a time, and the turret thing's just an example, where they've spent 20, 30 rounds and then realised the turret was out and gone, I'm an idiot. We've all done it,
20 or 30 might be excessive.
I've seen it myself.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
That's just an
But,
example. But you know what I mean.
We've all
shot through the frustration and put heaps of rounds down and then realise later, without having ever taken an action, you think back and you go, I actually didn't stop and think about it for a minute. You know?
Yeah, we've all done that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I've seen guys really, really improve their understanding of wind and their shooting by doing that, slowing it right down and really being focused on it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when you get to a comp, it's hard to do that. But,
absolutely.
But if you're well drilled prior in terms of doing that, you try and bring that mentality in. So you got some advice or some ideas for sort of wind being applied in comp situations, like
I'm still getting my head around that myself. I think one thing I work to, I suppose on the wind side of it, I'm pretty good. I've been thrown
and quite humble, actually.
I've shot bad in wind. I mean, one of the last comps was a really windy, crazy day.
Yeah.
And I had my own moments where I lapsed and miscalculated, because I'm thinking of all this other stuff. But I think one of the best things you can do is everything we've just been talking about, so that it becomes more second nature stuff, things you check off the list and are doing without thinking about it. So when under pressure, you're keeping an eye on the wind, you're calculating it however your system is. It's more natural. There's other things we can talk about, other techniques. Go on.
This is actually going back to something before, but you just prompted it in me. One of the things I often do, particularly because I drive quite a few country Ks, is I often spend some of that time observing wind.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of dialing that mentality into always being ever present. I know we jumped around a little bit, but wind's changed and we can as well.
That's the beauty of it. It's everywhere. You can practice, guessing wind all day long, anywhere.
So it's hard to stop the car and get out and check whether my guesses are accurate, right?
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily what I'm learning in that situation. What I am doing is I'm watching for changes.
Yeah.
So I'm watching, going, it's from left to right. I'm going to guess it's around like a 6 or something, and then watching and seeing if that wind's coming around, or looking where you're driving, the terrain that you're driving in, like how's that funneling the wind, and sort of. You could almost to a point where you're driving along, you go, right, train's changing up in front, like I'm coming to a hill or going over or into a valley, whatever it is, and going, I reckon the wind's going to be doing this when I get there. And assuming constant wind, things like that, not even near a gun range or anything like that, and I'm you're still able to practice, still able to develop your wind understanding, and so I remember, I don't know if I've told this story about Andrew, but Andrew, Dan and myself went and saw Guns N' Roses earlier this year. And I'm sitting there with a bourbon and hot dog or whatever and in a way, and I'm sort of not really paying attention, looking around, looking at the stage, that sort of gear, and then I hear these two pipe up and they go, I reckon there it's about a 7. And then another 150 metres. Where that tree, that's probably sitting around 8.5 now. Oh no, it's swirling now. And these boys just wouldn't shut up.
He was cheating. He was looking at that flag out at 700.
He was using flags. You're right. Yeah. and sometimes it's perhaps too obsessive in a good way.
It's lucky you weren't sitting in the middle. You've been like this bored kid, just like looking at nothing.
I would have joined in.
Yeah,
I would have joined in, but I was just going, oh man. I think I'd come off running a like nearly a week of training or something like that. I wouldn't mind like 2 hours off, guys.
That's what happens when you take out real shooters. You get a couple of real shooters.
But they weren't available, so we all went instead.
Put them in a rock concert. They're going to talk about shooting.
Talk about winding. Winding? That's not a word.
Winding.
Must be that gentleman Jack kicking in. So Dan, you run a wind formula, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
a couple.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that often people not aware of, or how, like we talked a little bit about observing wind and how you're making your calls and guessing and how to get better at that. But then there's the other aspect of going, all right, well, I think it's a 10-mile-an-hour wind out there.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
What do you do with that information? And of course, you can throw it into your ballistics calculator and it'll tell you what to do. But by the time you've done that, it may have changed.
And then what do you do with it?
And then we do. So that's where things like using different ways, different applications to be able to make a call and know what that means on your wind. Now you can memorize stuff and bits and pieces or have data charts, but they've still got to be applied in various ways.
Yeah.
One of the popular ones is wind formulas, and so having a relatively, I guess that the successful ones are where the maths are really easy.
Yeah.
And really basic, sort of add, plus, minus, little bit of sort of division, multiplication, but as minimal as possible, using real easy numbers to be able to make sense of it and get a close enough sort of call. And I guess we are talking PRS-based type hit or miss, not group sizes so much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, being able to put that in where time is perhaps more precious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not time more precious than accuracy, but time is a big factor as well as hitting the target.
Sure.
And that's where formulas have found their favour with that sort of thing. What do you do in terms of like when you're looking for a formula or looking for a new gun to set it up? How do you go about that? Or if you got to write a new formula?
That's a really tough question. I think the reason that I got into formulas was the speed factor. Starting out with the hunting, I was out shooting foxes at long range, and they do not sit still. I mean, now and then you might see one that's just sitting there because it's doing its thing, sitting there like a dog, but that's pretty rare. Usually they're walking and sniffing and they're moving.
Yep.
And then you're going to add wind, which is up and down and crossing. And so you got your rangefinder and he's at this particular distance, so you've got your range, you've dialed it on, you get down, what's the wind doing? All right, the wind's doing this. Okay, now I need my answer. So I get out AB and I punch that through and I look up and where'd the fox go? Well, he's over there now. That's a different range. I've got to get my range him. Okay, dialed that. The wind's dropped down. Oh, where's AB? I needed that for a camera or something else. It just wouldn't work, So I need my answer straight away.
Yep.
That's when I started looking at wind formulas. And basically a wind formula, you can get an answer pretty quick. And that how quick depends on how much time you put into practice with the formula. It takes a bit of memorizing. But once learnt, you can get an answer within, if you're just starting out, within, say, 10 seconds, you'll have a fairly close answer to getting a good hit at any given range. The best thing about these formulas is once you have that answer, it's got you locked in, and the wind can change, and you can change with it.
Yeah.
Using different techniques, utilizing your reticle and things like that. It doesn't matter what the wind does from then on. You've locked into that wind, and it can go up and down, and you're on it. You're ready for the shot. It just takes a lot of time out. You can be on your target when you want to shoot. You can shoot when you want to shoot, not when the wind's dropped or when it's come back up to where you first made that call.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing about, if you look at wind charts or you look at you look at ballistics information for a round, and you keep watching the wind information, the drift on it, you see patterns. And there's patterns present throughout that as you increase the speed or increase the distance or whatever it may be, and you see patterns in those trajectory tables. Mm-hmm. And I guess because there's patterns there, that's where you can create wind formulas that will utilize those patterns.
Yeah.
And I know a number of PRS shooters, they have their own sort of little wind tricks or wind hacks or wind formulas or whatever that work for their gun, their caliber, their round.
Yeah.
And they tune them. They get a different setup and they tweak their concept, but they look for patterns and they look how to break that down. And some guys do it a lot more scientifically than others. Some guys just sort of work out what it is, and some are easy and some are hard. But I think the thing you point out there, Dan, there's lots of different formulas, and you look online on videos and stuff. There's heaps around. Thing is that if you practice them, they get real quick.
Mm.
I mean, you're with your particular wind formula, if well, let's try it out. If you're doing a 7 mile an hour shot at 400 meters, what's your wind?
7 mile an hour wind.
Yep.
At 400 meters.
Yep. Buying yourself
2.7
time,
with the 308.
There you go. 2.7 at 7
Probably about 2.1 with the 243.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you do things quickly, and you're not in any frame of mind to make that decision at the moment.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty relaxed in the brain right now. I wonder how many guys have just got our AB and they're like checking their load on that answer.
Get your husband. He's grabbed AB out. He's going to check his own answers to see if that is about right. So, we have gone through a couple of bourbons. So, forgiveness if he doesn't quite nail it. But the idea being that you can, if you get to know your particular formula or whatever it may be, some way of achieving it, you can be quick. And the one I use, if I prompt myself and I'm not, lying in a motel room, haven't, shot a gun for a little while, you're talking sort of 2 to 3 seconds to a solution, if not less, to be able to sort of understand it really quickly. So they can work really, really well in the right environment. Now, sometimes, how'd you go down?
2.5.
2.5, you're hitting your target. That's less than a click on your scope.
Yeah, 400 metres, so yeah, it's not bad, but
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
I could have done better than that.
Well, you brought up my point really well there, that I was going to say that often formulas may sacrifice a touch of accuracy for speed. And usually, my tolerance is usually 1 to 2 clicks.
Mm-hmm. So 0.1, 0.2 mil.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I'll sort of...
Similar to me, I've always tried to stay within 0.3 MOA, so it's about the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and so being able to sort of be within a sensible buffer. Again, we're talking hit miss or on an animal. I mean, 0.1 on a fox at 400 metres is still a kill shot comfortably. So being able to sort of guess those things within reasonable distances, within reasonable timeframes, will certainly allow you to take those shots quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, there's plenty of ways, that sometimes those formulas can be daunting, and being able to sort of print off a 10 mile an hour standard and then apply, if it's twice as much or a different angle, you can double or half or quarter or 70% or whatever it is. That can work and can work quite well.
I think they're very daunting to learn when you...
Yep.
When you're looking at them and learning them for the very first time, it's like, what the hell? How did they get their answers like that? It just doesn't make sense, but you need to go over it and over it and over it and over. One of the first ones I learnt was Todd Hodnett's accuracy first, win formula.
Sure, yep.
And I must have watched that 10 times before I even started grasping it, but that was the kicker for me. I went, this is really cool. I can get my answer. I don't need no technology, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. Yep. Like I said before, I need the technology to learn it, but I want to eventually be able to shed myself of it all and be a competent shooter. But that formula was the one to go, okay, this is really cool, and it became obsessive, and I started manipulating AB, going, what does my gun do in MOA? How can I make a formula with that?
Absolutely.
How can I tweak this? How can I do that? And once again, the technology becomes the best teacher.
Yeah, so formulas are good, or methods are, in terms of putting that in, and you don't have to rely on AB. The other thing I wanted to bring up was you can actually, I guess, like reverse engineer. So where your point of impact goes, you can actually use AB to find out what the wind was. So if let's say you're shooting at a target and you're shooting dead center on the target and the bullet impacts a mil to the right. So you can look at AB and start increasing the wind on AB.
Find out what the wind actually is.
Yeah, to the point where you get 1 mil of drift.
Yeah.
And you go, right, when I shot then, I had to allow for 6 minutes of 6 mile per hour.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's what 6 mile an hour looked like over this distance.
Yeah.
And so many people don't do that. They shoot and they miss and go, I got the call wrong, and they bump it up or this or that.
Yeah.
You can actually go, well, if you got a good follow shot and you saw where it was, measure it and bring it back and see what it was.
Yeah.
You can reverse it. So I've seen that open guys' eyes as well, where they go, oh, right, that was this.
And then they can relay that information back to their mate sitting next to them who's shooting a totally different caliber and MOA versus mil, and they can convert it because they now have a wind call. They don't need to know how to convert it. They need to know the wind.
Yeah,
and their mate in mil shooting a 308 has just set it 6 mile an hour. So the guy over here with a 6 mil shooting MOA gets punches in his data. He's got his answer and he can make the shot.
Absolutely, yeah. It keeps it cross caliber and
a good little trick I use. Here we go for a lot of people. There's a little golden key coming out here. using your reticle. Let's say any given distance,
Golden-
any wind. Your
golden key. You just said you didn't have a golden key
I
before.
have many.
You lied.
Any given distance, any speed of wind, right? Your answer, you want to talk mils, you crazy people like to do mil, so we'll do mil. Your answer becomes 1 mil, all right? Let's say the wind was 12 mile an hour, all right?
Right.
Your solution that AB gives you, or whatever calculator you're using, gives you an answer of 1 mil. You take the shot, it ends up, it was only half mil. What's the wind? It's 6, it's half.
Mm-hmm.
So using your reticle, if you now, for that distance you're shooting, 1 mil is 12 mile an hour, it can now go to half that, 6, so it's half your hold.
Gotcha.
It can go to 3 mile an hour, which is half of a half, 1/4.
Yep.
There's a way to use your reticle where the wind can go up and down. You've locked into that
each
12 mile an hour of
Each
1
point
mil.
1 is 1.2.
You're now looking
mile
at
per
your
hour.
reticle with 1 mil as your baseline of 12 mile an hour. It can go up and down. You're all over it. You're ready for the shot.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Any reason you call wind in mile per hour?
Why mile instead of meters a second or feet
Well,
per second?
yeah, meters per second or kilometers per hour.
Sure.
Meters, yeah.
If you're going, I can't do it right now in my brain. It's not working properly. But if you convert
good
to,
reason
I
for that.
think meters per second is about half-ish of miles. Does that sound about right? Or
Do you know that's one I don't know. I've spent
It's a lot
zero
lower
time
number,
with miles.
I think.
It's a lot lower number.
Yeah, kilometers per hour is a higher number.
Yeah.
So, working in mile per hour, you can. There's like a million wind formulas out there that work on 10 mile an hour. Not all of them are great. Most of them are actually pretty bad. But the number is easy. It's a 10. It's a bracket of 10.
Yeah.
So, a 10 mile an hour wind is a very common wind.
Yep.
When you're getting a day where you go, the wind's getting up there, that's usually around your 10 mile an hour. So instantly, if you know what a 10 mile an hour is, you can go, well, I know what 5 is because it's half that.
Yeah, okay. So you use
If
it
it's
because
almost that and half again, or that bit more, it's going to be your 12, 15. Already
Yep.
you're calling a wind of 5, 10 or 15.
I guess it's a combination of that and what you're accustomed to. I mean, if you learn meters per second from day one, you continue to be, refine it, get good at
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's what you calibrate
that's
it to.
just what I do. There may be guys out there that do it in meters a second and better than me. It's quite possible, but it's the numbers that I find are a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm with you. I the numbers for miles per hour work well for me, but I do know guys who are really good shooters who run meters per second.
Sure. Okay, cool.
And that's just what they are used to.
Yep.
And they're exceptional at it.
Yep.
I think it comes down to the same thing: mil, MOA, yards and meters.
Yeah.
The measurements are the same thing. It doesn't actually matter which one you go with. Just being aware that if you come across a really good formula that's in miles per hour that you really like, don't use meters per second for that particular equation. It won't work. But we haven't researched the meters per second formulas. No doubt there are good ones because the same principle applies. The same patterns exist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would be out there. So, yeah.
They're kind of different. I mean, when you're talking wind and wind formulas with MOA versus mil, I mean, they're very different, yet the outcome's the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
It's kind of hard to
change.
explain. It's like two different languages that you can learn to understand the same.
Yep.
You know?
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
I feel like I'm falling in the matrix here.
do you know what? That's I reckon that might be the gentleman jack kicking in. So I reckon it's probably time to call this a show. Oh, guys, I hope you've been able to tolerate our babble and maybe picked up one or two things. Always willing to take more advice on wind. So if you guys have tricks up your sleeves or ideas, please let us know.
Be a sponge. Be a sponge.
Yeah. Well, for them and us as well. Let us know.
I'm a sponge.
Totally. It's not the word I was going to use, but anyway, it's
You are an asshole.
I am. But thanks for noticing.
Cool, mate.
So Dan, we haven't done one of these for a little while. but this is another would you rather. So I'm going to put this to you, mate. Would you rather...
Oh, I'm getting asked the question.
You're getting asked the question,
Okay.
mate. This is
All
going to go out to everyone, but you're
on the
getting
spot
asked the
again.
question.
You love that.
Straight into it, mate.
Cool.
Straight into
Do it. Ready,
so,
shoot.
Relax. All right, just calm down. We're
Okay.
going to go through this. Would you rather? Would you rather to be able to call 100% of the time an accurate call, perfectly accurate call on wind speed, or on wind direction?
Wind speed.
Wind speed?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Because it's probably more important for the solution. I could get a good direction off trees, grass, feeling it on my face.
Like
If you're telling me you can give me some magic skill where I can guess the speed of wind at a mile with crosswinds and stuff, I'm going to take that, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fair call.
Okay.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call. I'm going to decide on the direction.
Cool.
Do you want to know why?
And then we go shooting.
Yeah, you and I go shooting together. All our calls will be absolutely 100% perfect
I like it.
as a combination. So, yeah, I'll have no idea what speed it's going, but I'll just say, yeah, no, it's definitely 137 degrees wind. And you'll go, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's definitely 12 mile an hour. And together we shall take over the world. I mean,
it would be
we'll
easy.
hit some targets.
I like it.
Yeah, so, all right, we're going to put that up there. I suspect you're right. I suspect most people will be able to or want to call direction. No,
Yeah.
sorry, call speed.
Yeah.
But also, let's base it on their current ability level. Let's see whether the guys think they lack, those people, our listeners lack direction
Yeah.
or they lack speed.
But let's face it, either
I may
way-
have not used the best wording for this.
Either answer, you get a superpower. So, you can't be wrong either way.
And maybe they could extrapolate that into the other superpowers that same skill would lead to.
Wind man.
We may be overthinking this.
Are you my wind man?
Yeah. That. Yeah. No, I don't think I can help you with that. So we're probably out of ideas.
Okay, cool.
So Dan, thanks for joining me.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no dramas, mate. And spend a couple of days at Lithgow.
Sounds fun.
It's going to be good.
Yep.
All right, guys. If you do like what we do, despite tonight's podcast, feel free. We'd love to have you on board as a supporter on Patreon, where you can support the show and get some additional bits and pieces. That would be wonderful. Other than that, thanks very much. Cheers, Dan. Good luck for the weekend, and good luck for your first time on a plane.
Oh, no. You just reminded me.
Yeah, I brought that up.
I had it out of my head for a while there.
All right, guys, we're going to head off. Cheers. Thanks
Bye-bye.
for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by Projectile Warehouse. Find your perfect projectile.